Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's 2 o'clock. I see folks are still coming in, which is great. Once again, thank you to everybody for joining me today, joining us today. It is, about halfway through a very big month, as we all know. This I consider this to be a pretty important conversation. Hopefully, we can come up with some good ideas to, move the needle even a bit further. So, real quick, here are the rules of engagement for today. As I uh, as I mentioned, this session is being recorded, and I will get it to YouTube and get it out to everybody. Everybody is muted for right now to prevent chaos and anarchy, and I will definitely give you an opportunity to chime in during the session and afterwards. During the session, just click on that chat function. I try to keep an eye on that pretty well. If you got any questions, shoot them. I'll do my best to answer them. And then as we wrap up, you just need to hit *6 and you can get unmuted from there. So pretty easy to do. All right, preview today. Cover a lot of ground. I'll keep moving fairly quick, but I'll also, again, keep my eye on that chat function to see if you got questions. Quite a bit of it's review, but I've been getting a lot of questions on some things, so I thought it'd probably be a good idea to reinforce some things we've been learning together. As always, I'm going to do a few public service announcements, probably a little shameless self-promotion there, but what the heck. Going to give a fix the phones update. I did a complete session on fix the phones. Had some interest in it since the essential brand elements requirements for 2018 came out. There's obviously a heightened level of interest in fix the phones, and I'll be a key link for Zone 4114 with that to help everybody learn how it works, the implications, and there is as you'll see, a metric called call fail rate, and there is EBE money tied to that. Come up with a bunch of December sales ideas. I'll move through that quickly. Again, we're recording it. You can call me, but I've seen a few stores try some of this out, and they're definitely having some success. So I'm going to reinforce some strategies. And finally, some tips to avoid what I've named as the BDC rut. I go around some folks who are pumped and fired up, and they're starting to get a little frustrated due to maybe redundancy, self-imposed redundancy on what they're doing. Okay, so the public service announcements. Dealer Web Manifest. As you know, very important stuff. And as I go through this today, I'd ask you to, kind of reflect and challenge yourself. What of all the things that I'm laying out here, is there something that you and your team have not thoroughly explored and leveraged? Maybe there's a sale or two to be had in each of these concepts. Start with the December targeted lease pull ahead. That's a must do. The sample I have here, this particular dealership had 60 records, and you can see they're working it. The December CSSR sales touch and plus up that just was added. Now, I would tell you the CSSR sales touch and plus up is something, it's designed for you and your teams really not to do anything. But the fact is, it's a mailer that goes out to a bunch of folks. Well, I'll tell you what, let me do this. Oops, let me step out here for a second. And this is it. This is what you'll see when you click on, you go to view documents, and this gives you an explanation of what's involved in that. The program documents, etc. It prioritizes the identified customers as A, B, C, or blank, with A having the most in-market, the highest in-market score possible. Whole bunch of stuff. Again, it's a mailer that goes out. It's part of the CSSR package that you bought into. My suggestion is to pull that and then export the names and work on those A's, man. Sort them. And if you have some folks in the BDC who are in a position to make calls, make them. Not a bad exercise to do over the next few weeks. And it comes and goes pretty quick. It just showed up yesterday or today. and it will disappear on, I believe, on the 31st. Service BDC hot list for the back end, that was just refreshed. So those of you who work that consistently, get in there. You've got new names, great opportunity to get folks in for those open recalls, unused free maintenance, and those other factors that are involved there. Also in service, you got a nice opportunity for on-store reactivation. They're offering that 3 on us for folks. You got the Ally Opportunities, GMF, your December Chevrolet BDC hot list. Also a great opportunity to work. As I mentioned so many times, this is one that you want to pull it, you want to clean it up, you want to prioritize it and work the highest priorities or the lowest hanging fruit. Great opportunity to reinforce, your activities and make sure that you're taking care of business along the way. That's just, again, a real nice opportunity. Lease loyalty, the list goes on. The bottom line is please work your manifest. That's most helpful for us when you do that. And I really think, as I mentioned earlier, everything I talk about today, please look in the mirror, challenge yourself, and say, have I fully explored this and leveraged it? That list right there of the things that I just highlighted. I mean, there's a lot of these are kind of repetitious, but these recur. There's probably a sale or two in each or more at each dealership. So again, I really encourage you to explore your process for handling Dealer Web Manifest and then execute accordingly. As always, I'm going to pump up our private Facebook page. I'd say we have about 45 to 50 dealers involved in that, close to 100 people. We've had a few come and go due to turnover, but I really like to increase that number even further. It's proven to be a nice place to share information. We have some fun, put some music on there, a little bit of good, tasteful humor from time to time. But please, if you haven't done so, if you're a Facebook user, you or any of your BDC members, even your sales and service managers, just go into Facebook and you just type in Philadelphia Area Automotive Business Development Professionals. It's a private page, so just hit request membership. I control that. I'll look at who you are, boom, I'll let you in. I've had some vendors approach me. I had one come in and he was getting a little overly aggressive with trying to push stuff to you guys and gals. So I, as we say in the Brooklyn area, I whacked him. But nice guy. But this is our place to get away from all that madness. As always, I like to start off with a profound quote. Today, I went to one of the great orators and intellectual minds in our history, Mr. Mike Tyson. He once said, "Everybody has a plan until you punch him in the mouth." It's semi-humorous, but at the same time, this is a really critical month. It's not time to, as you know, get complacent, relax, etc. It's time to get busy. And I say, what's your plan? And I would say, just keep challenging yourself, challenging your team. Have we thought out of the box? Are we digging deep? Are we using our time efficiently? I'll go back for a moment to those manifests. Have you really worked all your pull aheads effectively? Do you have some folks there who might be able to help out and chip away with the CSSR sales touch and plus up? That's kind of important to look at. So I guess I'm saying, just trying to challenge everybody to really get vigilant and assertive as we come down these last couple weeks in the final month of a very big year. Okay, so the first thing, as I mentioned, do kind of a review on fix the phones. So I did a training session on it, recorded it, sent it out, and anytime I visit a dealer, we certainly talk about this. Made all kinds of phone calls with you folks and learned a lot about, which calls are coming in, who's handling them, where we're fumbling the ball, and so on and so forth. Since that time, this has been added as an EBE requirement. So that's obviously the essential brand elements, and that's kind of motivated everybody or increased their interest. Now, I have gotten a lot of calls and emails on how to access the information, really in the last, I'd say, week and a half to 2 weeks. So I emailed the link right there to everybody this afternoon. So all 72 Zone 4114 dealers who's on my mail list. If you didn't receive it, shoot me an email. I'm going to give you my contact information at the end, and let me add you to my mail list. So you have that link, and you can start looking into it. Please bookmark it to your favorites for easy access. Okay, this way you can just get it. You don't have to keep going back to old emails to discover it, obviously. And you can get your login information from me and or your district sales managers. Many of you already have them and have already been working it. But if not, let us know, and I'll be happy to get that information to you. No doubt about it. Okay, so interpreting the new dashboard. Got a little funky thing with my font there. I apologize. Again, this is part of the 2018 Essential Brand Elements program, and the call fail rate is the critical metric. So many of you have been to the workshops, you sat through my training, so I'm going to bada bing this, but there's a few key things to reminders that are quite important. So I'm going to give, again, a brief background on the Fix the Phones program, an overview of the dashboard, some available resources, and I'm going to give you an invitation for one-on-one dealer training sessions with me. I can do that in your dealership or via WebEx. All right, so we all graduated from the Fix the Phones workshops, and there's those three distinguished gentlemen right there. Question is, what do we do now? That's fine and dandy. The fact is, we're talking about money on the table. We are talking in the same regard as we did in whenever that was, 2006, 2007, about missing emails, missing inbound digital leads. This has become much more important with changing technology. So let's start by getting familiar with the new phone analytics dashboard, which is, as I mentioned, now available. There's the access to it, and again, we have the passwords. So a little bit of brief background information first on what drove all of this. So in 2007, the phone, we were hearing the message, we got to shift gears. We got to, Jim, I got your thing, brother. Yeah, I was wondering, I saw you pop in. I was wondering about that. So good, Jim. I got your chat message, and you are going to be added to my list, my friend. No doubt about it. Facebook group name again. It is the Facebook group is Philadelphia area automotive business development professionals, and I'll be sending a copy of this out, and I'll include that, Jim, in the email. So going back in 2017, we all scrambled. Let's respond quickly to emails, respond quickly, answer their questions, and so on. Work on those leads, and so the digital leads coming in, etc. Very important at that time, and I think we tried to do the right thing. So we needed to master emails at that time. Funny thing happened. The iPhone came along in 2007, as we all know, and things changed dramatically here as we get to 2017. That little call icon is what we all know. People get on their iPhone, their cell phone, whatever it is. They Google up something, boom, and then all of a sudden they just click and they're calling, where before they may have gotten on the website and generated a lead, they now will do this. So the question is, how effective are we calling? And I will tell you, check yourself. Trust me on this. And those of you out there who I visited with, a typical exercise we'll do in the meeting is get the screen up if we're there, or I'll just bring it up on my laptop. We'll Google your dealership. And again, I would really encourage you to do this. And then just start hitting the numbers. You got your website numbers. You probably have one for sales and one for service. You got a Google number that lists probably sales and or service. Then you go down to all those third-party companies you're working with. Cars.com, CarGurus.com, Edmunds.com. Call the numbers, man. You're going to find hopefully everything's uptight and out of sight. First of all, do you get to the dealership? Do you get the recording or a human being? And then if you ask to be transferred, how does that go? That's one part of it. Another thing we've discovered is we've had some obstacles between the potential customer and the dealership. One dealership I was in, actually it was a third party. I think it might have been Edmunds, they were requiring the customer to answer survey questions before getting to the dealership. That was kind of interesting. Another one, we wound up going to I think it was an Acura dealer in the Midwest. They had paid the vendor. Initially, it worked out. Somehow along the line, their number got associated with another dealer. So check the validity of your numbers and your performance of your team in getting the call, transferring the call, and maintaining the interest of the customer. Very, very big part of this whole formula. Okay, so a couple of quick things to remind you. And again, I'm looking at the names in the list. I've seen all or most of you at the Fix the Phones workshops. So things have changed radically. This is a reality we have to face, and we have to get good at this. 54% of auto searches happen on a mobile device. That's profound. 90% of mobile users conduct a dealer-related action. Also, a very profound piece of information. And there's now a 4-to-1 ratio of phone call to email lead forms. Folks are operating right from that little miniature computer they have in their hands to take care of this versus sitting down at a desk, sitting at their home office, and getting logged onto a computer. They're taking care of everything right from that little mini computer. So we have to be prepared on the other end. As you know, if we're not, they'll go to the dealer right down the street. And we can't have that. So this is again, many of you are getting familiar with this and or maybe very familiar, but if this is new to you, this is important. So the new metric, and there's money, as I mentioned, money tied to it with the essential brand elements. There's call fail rate. And the vendor we're working with has defined 4 possible ways. 1, unanswered calls that were not answered by the destination phone number. Ridiculous, you say? We've had it happen. We've literally had that happen. It's hard to believe. The IVR, which is the interactive voice response, voicemail abandoned. Caller reached IVR or voicemail and hung up without leaving a message or speaking to an agent. Another potential faux pas for us, or a challenge for us as we go forward. The call was answered. Caller was transferred by IVR or agent, but caller hung up prior to speaking to an agent. And finally, hold time abandoned. Caller was put on hold by IVR or agent, but hung up before the agent came back online. So we're going to get this. And by the way, you're going to be able to get in there and see where this happened, and you can actually listen to the calls that are recorded. So how are you doing nationwide? This is kind of the basic, threshold right now, if you will. 12% of calls year to date, GM-wide, 12% of calls to dealerships fail. Top performing dealerships drop only less than 1% of their calls. Worst performing dealers, 73%. And there's, obviously factors like size of the dealership, staffing, and those kinds of things. But rest assured, if you're failing on 73, if you're failing on, 12% is not good. So if you're doing 15, 20, 25%, really, really not good. Okay, so the phone analytics dashboard. Let's get right to the heart of the matter here. You need to get used to it. Let's check it out. And that was a photo that I actually took in a dealership of a sales manager when he was reading his CSI scores. A pretty tough day for the guy. So that's what it looks like. The dashboard. You go in there, if you can see your failed call volume, you can see your failed call rate, and you can see the impact. And there's a formula. I'm not going to get into this today so much. I prefer to do that one-on-one. We do have a suggested formula, but the bottom line is you have to put a value, what is a phone call worth potentially in a sale? Now, obviously, if they're calling sales service, that varies. But for today, I really want to concern us with the volume and that failed call rate, if you will, on what's going on. And as you can see, man, right now you're going, my God, what's going on here? It's really cool because you can see a range here of about 30 days. Then you break that period down. You can see by the days of the week. You can see by the hour, and then the proportion on each of those 4 types of failed calls. And my suspicion is that we attended the workshops and you listen to my training, and we're in the dealership, you work with me, you're cooperative people, and you go, yeah, okay, good stuff. But I think now going into quarter 1, and it will be by quarter, as I understand it, for the essential brand elements, our interest and our need to learn this is heightened dramatically. Okay, so 15% of dealer calls are tracked in dashboard. A little bit of background on what goes to the dashboard. Call tracking numbers are GM sponsored, and it's all part of that GM, the digital marketing package, sales, service, parts, etc., the LMA advertising lines, and so on. And the ring to numbers are established by the dealer. So I tell you, it's critical that you check those periodically. Make sure that things are happening the way you wanted them to. Customer reaches the call tracking line. Call is forwarded to dealer designated ring to number. And call is recorded, analyzed, and captured in lost opportunities dashboard. Concerning that 15%, we'll give it take a couple of numbers. It's likely that if you are very effective within that 15%, you're probably very equally effective across the board. And conversely, if you're failing miserably, you're probably failing across the board. That's, I think, a very safe assumption. Okay, so the dashboard, take a little look. There's the failed call rate. So of those 401 failed call volume there, that 15% were failed. You see the mountain line right there that goes day by day, as I mentioned earlier. In this case, we just did the month of October, and it shows the number and percentage. Okay, so the colored area here. By the way, we've asked them to change this color. I happen to be colorblind, man, so this is kind of brutal for me. But in any case, the shading of it can be a little tricky. We're hoping down the road they can change it, but for now we have to live with this. So that's the count, the number of calls, and that's the rate, the fail rate that took place. Okay, you can drop down and you can see your failed calls by day of week. Again, the count, the hard number, and then the percentage or the rate. And obviously Sunday, as you can see, this dealership here received, 9 or 10 calls, whatever the case is, typically on Sunday. That's a day that we're not manning, if you will. That's a nice little breakout there for you. And then you can see it by hour, and you can even break it out by those failed call types. So that's kind of helpful. So filtering data. Now we go in. So I would say, please try to get logged in here pronto, as soon as you can, and start working with us. Get those logins from us and kind of work through it. And then we can go from there. It's really easy to filter. As we mentioned, you can do it by a day of the week. You can just see how you're doing on Mondays. You can see how you're doing by a particular hour. And again, those failed calls. The filters down the right side here, there's all kinds of options that you have there. You can do it by day of the week. You can do it hour of the day, agent keyword, caller keyword, like make appointment. You can look into that, and by departments. And by the way, we built these slides before. This one here, that select duration, as I understand it, and I don't have anything hard and official. I'm just here to help you be successful. Once we're absolutely sure what the criteria is for EBE, we can work on that. But we're being told that calls less than 15 seconds will not count. They're looking at narrowing it down to like Monday through Friday during peak business hours, 9 in the morning, perhaps till 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, that sort of thing. So we can filter accordingly. Anyway, you have great options when it comes to filtering. And you can look at your view and call log. You can actually see the tracked calls, and you can go ahead and listen to them. It tells you why the call failed. Then you can go ahead and listen to it. And they even have a call DNA, as they call it, where you can see throughout it where the customer talked, where the agent talked, where the ring was, when there's silence, and all those kinds of things. Pretty interesting stuff. So some support. Who's out there as part of the team to help you out? We're all in this battle together, as we like to say. But Pro Care Advocates are out there. They work with you with the number provisioning, changing answer by numbers, troubleshooting tracking numbers, administrative resetting passwords, creating new IDs. Your digital district manager, data questions, understanding the data, call volumes, call trends, classification discrepancies. So when we're looking at your website, how prominent is the number, they can certainly adjust there. And then myself, I'm your Chevy business development manager, and a field team. We can work with data questions, understanding the data, call volumes, trends, classification discrepancies, data assessment, root cause analysis, reviewing reports, and process improvement. Bill Fleck has asked me to take the lead on this, and certainly work with the field team when they come in. But if you need a good, thorough diagnosis and you want to start looking at processes, give me a buzz. I'll try to get out to the dealership. And I've even done a few WebExes with folks where we walk through things and we're able to solve some of the problems that a particular dealership was having. Let's get that identified soon, late this year or early next year, before that first quarter starts to, get too heavy where it's going to be difficult to turn around. Now, we have a question, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a look here. We have a question from Miss Carolyn Shute. Are you able to either send us all the deck or at least the roles and responsibilities? Very helpful. Roger that. You got it. I will send the deck. I'll send a video out and the deck to everybody. No problemo. Okay, Center of Learning. There's some training opportunities, some courses you can take. You can go to fixthephones.com. You got the digital marketing package you can work with. You got the BDC support site. Pardon me, that's in Global Connect. Just go into the apps area and get that. And as you can see, there's some phone analytics information there that should be very helpful to you. And I will do customized Fix the Phones training. I can do them 35. I find about 30, 45 minutes is usually good enough. Can certainly hang out longer in your dealership to help you out. All you got to do is call me. Just give me a buzz. Work it out with you. I know that Brother Jim Wagner, if you're on, I don't see you right now. I owe you a call on that, Jim, and I will get back to you. I don't see him here. Good. So I'm not busted. Okay, I'm going to shift now to ideas. Let me stop there and use the chat function on Fix the Phones. How are we doing? Are there any other questions? I definitely got Jim and Carolyn. I got your stuff. I think you have everybody here. Anything else pressing? And by the way, you can press that *6 and that'll unmute you if you had a quick question about it. Okay. Feeling the love, man. I can feel it. Everybody's good. And don't hesitate. Boom. So we'll go from there. Beautiful. Beautiful, man. I'm feeling the love here. Okay. So the second part of this is ideas to help. This is obviously a huge month. Big year for Chevy. We were up in Detroit week before last. And, there's just a lot of enthusiasm, hoping to have a real strong finish. I was working with my team. I'm one of 43 business development managers across the country. And we came up and brainstormed ideas to kind of quick hit ideas to drive business. I'm going to ramble through these. I sent them out to everybody. They're on the Facebook page. Some folks have tried a few of them, pretty cool. I can't say for sure whether it landed a sale or not, but it sure generated enthusiasm in the dealership. So I'm going to ramble through these 24 real quick, but as I go through each one, think about it. Is this something you can do over the next 15 to 17 days, whatever's left? So the category, yes, the December sales piece, I'm going to do the 24 quick hit, the triple play review I did in the beginning of the month, and a couple of out-of-box ideas. Okay, so here we go. The 24 quick hit ideas. Set up a big countdown board in your service lane and or your showroom. Only blank more days for employee pricing for all. Pretty cool idea. A few of you have done that already. Target Facebook pages, Facebook ads to people on your contact lists. There's a video. This is on the Facebook page, etc. I can get this to you when you get the slide. You go in here. Basically, they have a formula. You have to pay for this, obviously. There's a formula where they can match folks' emails and or their phone numbers based on what information they shared in their profile. A few have done this. Encourage your dealership employees across your dealership to post on their personal Facebook pages a very non-threatening, message saying, "Hey, friends and family, just so you know, Chevrolet has a great you pay what we pay opportunity employee pricing right now." And some dealers you might consider a spiff for posting that. Obviously, that's your call. Provide daily sales incentives to drive reporting and closing deals going down a stretch. Nothing earth-shattering there. Many of you do this along the line, but having those individual daily goals with an incentive on that sure picks up the energy a lot of time. Use small business targeting with Small Business Playbook. Remind these businesses of tax code 179 incentives up to 510 grand. I'm going to show you specifically how to get in there and do that in a minute. Service Smart's online customers, particularly folks who service at your dealership but did not buy from you. You can do a great follow-up, and I'm going to show you very quickly how to tap into that, how to pull that data. A couple of folks did this. It's pretty cool. They set a single pay lease price and hang a tag saying you can drive this Malibu for only $7,200. Ask a specialist for details. That sort of thing, something to think about. Obviously, we're breaking it out in a 2 or 3 year lease. Use your CRM to find customers who bought in December 2 or 3 years ago. Maybe their cycle, they're ready to go, or you can convince them with this great deal to go ahead of the normal buying cycle. Provide December editable pricing sheets attached to ROs, post on the service counter at the sales desk, etc. Just have it right there, clear as a bell. Do an e-strike through CSSR to your in-market customers. Check which emails are open and which will click through. Obviously, call the click-through customers first and go from there. Generate a daily e-blast to your contacts. Maybe feature a new model each day, that sort of thing. 17 days left, those types of things. There's a lead management report that's, I assume most of you or all of you are checking, Global Connect, but I would definitely take a look at that and make sure you have a handle on, unsold prospects. Good opportunity to make something happen right there. Review your third-party leads. I've learned quite a bit lately, and I got to admit, like most of you, I was starting to lose faith in that, and I think we were giving up too quick. What I learned in Detroit recently was that folks can close a high percentage between 15 and 45 days after. My suspicion is that we give up on those pretty quick. Place employee pricing flyers and courtesy transportation. Retouch your October, November customers who didn't buy. Unsold traffic. Offer $25 off your next RO, 25 preferred owner points if you're a POP dealer, if they take a test drive. Ask for employee referrals, old school stuff, 2 people, and give them a bird dog if your local laws allow. I'm talking about your employees. Communicate with your vendors, folks that come through, your FedEx person, mail handler, and so on and so forth about employee pricing. Maybe a holiday card, hand it to them, let them know you'd like to talk about them, and maybe there's something special you could do for them, a little extra incentive because of the relationship that you have. People waiting in the service area, maybe a $5 to $10 Starbucks card and a demo while they wait. And then this old school stuff that we do, but maybe from a managerial standpoint, sometimes we overlook it. Try to break down your sales goal by number of days in the month. Use appointment calculator, need a number to meet the goal, and work from there. It's a good BDC thing. This does come from, I think, Proactive. It's their terminology, the daily power hour with the staff working with the BDC. How we doing? Charge each other up, get pumped, and kind of regroup from there. Strong spiffs for sales between the 26th and the 2nd. To qualify, must have number. If you achieved a certain level by the 24th, say Christmas Eve, you'll be eligible for additional strong spiffs later. And then ensure your secondary websites, hours and directions, and phone numbers are on the front page for all websites. And this is an idea someone came up with, and actually a couple of deals have done this. They wrap presents under Christmas tree at the showroom and/or service, and they let customers open one, have deals in them, free oil changes, and those types of things. So that's a quick bada bing on that. Just run it through, just encourage you. If one or two of those even work for you, that would be great, just to give it a shot. So I'm going to do, again, a quick review now on the what I call a triple play. For those of you who are working with me for the first time, what I do every month, I have two, I guess, more formalized communications with everybody. Beginning of the month and the middle of the month. In the beginning of the month, right after we get the incentives, the monthly incentives, I put together a triple play where I come up with three particular incentives to try to take on those three strategies rather to take on those incentives. And I'll rip through this very quickly. So the first strategy is employee discount for everyone. So what I decided this month early on, a few of you have done it, and I worked with you in your dealerships. We did have employee pricing, as you know, during November on the models listed there. And then in December, we added the models to the right. Basically, I'm saying go back for the Part A, follow up, and maybe dig deeper on the November models, likely buyers of those, and then start fresh on the new added models. So the original Part A, the original employee pricing for all new trims of those listed right there. Review your outbound contacts for November, determine appropriate follow-up actions, and dig deeper into playbook if necessary. Some of you may have gone, down as far, like we filtered, the suggestion was filter years 07 to 15, filtered models you wish to make an offer, huddle with the sales team. Obviously, we got to look at inventory. Now, let's say if you work the A priorities and or the B's, dig down deeper, go a layer deeper, work your C's, work your B's and your C's. For those who aren't familiar with Playbook, it's a fairly new initiative, and I like it, and we've been working it, and it's working. Is the A's are the most likely to buy. Remember, anybody in market in Playbook has a propensity to buy in the next 0 to 6 months. The A priorities are the highest priority, and most likely B and then C in turn. All have a propensity to buy in the next 0 to 6 months. Great thing to have a nice, non-intrusive type of communication to invite them in. Again, if you did nothing, filter the A's now. If you filter the A's, layer down to B's and C's. Okay, so Part B, we added these models in December. Go back to the fresh start again like we did before. Just dig into Playbook. Suggestion, pull folks 07 to 15, the models you wish to make an offer, likely to buy those. And then again, huddle with your inventory, filter all your A follow-up priorities and work your way down and come up with a nice rhythm to talk with them. Strategy 2, the standalone offer on the Silverado cab. Again, Playbook, go in, you look to the left right there using the employee pricing. Pretty good stuff right there, real strong offer. Dig deep into your playbook for your high follow-up priority in market customers. Again, 07 to 15. The models, in this case, the Silverado owners, start with your A follow-up priority customers and layer down. Strategy 3, the Equinox, same thing. As you can see over there, some pretty good offers right there, real strong offers on that. Dig into Playbook. Get those high follow-up priority and in-market customers, 07 to 15, who's likely to buy, and then use those A and then layer down to B's and C's. Okay, a couple of quick thinking out of the box ideas. I came up with one in the beginning of the month. I added one today. The small business customers, you might take a look at that. Okay, remember that tax section 179. I won't read that to you in detail, but we all know what that's about, and that's a good opportunity to get them before the year runs out. Okay, this can be deducted depending on the vehicles purchased, and there you go. You can see the deductions allowed. Pretty strong stuff, up to $510,000 for eligible vehicles. So in this particular case, with express full-size trucks and SUVs included, consider looking at your in-market customers in small business Playbook. Here's how you get in there. Log in, go to sales just like Playbook. Okay, go to CSSR. Once in there, lay the cursor on My Results. Click Playbook Reports. Go right down here. If you look right at the bottom, there's your small business playbook. And by the way, just an emphasis, good. I'm looking at the names in here. I know most of you. I've met most of you. and most of you are familiar with Playbook. Remember, these are your customers. These are folks who bought at your dealership and still retain the vehicle. Historically, it was bought new, still retained, and they've since added bought used and bought certified, still retained. So look at the history when they bought, what do you got in the CRM, and a great time to have a conversation. These small business customers, obviously a tad different than your typical retail customers. Make sure you have the right person making the pitch and so on. But the bottom line is you go in here, click on that, and then you got a list of all your small business customers in market, etc. And it shows also if they're in market or not. Okay, so idea number 2 out of the box, service smarts online. Now you won't have propensity data. We won't be showing the likelihood of these folks to buy. But I find this to be kind of interesting, and I think it's like, I'm from New York. I'm not much of a farmer, but we all know that in farming, a healthy practice is to rotate the crops. I would say this isn't something you want to do maybe every month, but periodically it will be smart. So get with your service manager. You may have access already in Global Connect. Get into Service Smarts and kind of get familiar. You'll see a dashboard with 3 metrics. And one to the far right is folks who are sold by other dealers, but they live in your AGSA. So the far left, it's folks who live in your defined geographic area. They bought from you and they service with you. The middle one is folks who are servicing. You sold them a vehicle, but they live outside your AGSA. And in each case, what's the percentage of those folks who are doing service with you? And the far right, again, these people live right in your area, whatever that radius is, 8, 10, 12 miles, live right there. They bought from another Chevy dealer, but they're paying for service from you. Not a bad idea to tap into that, get the right years, and maybe give them a call. Okay, so how you get there, Global Connect, go to Service Smarts Online. Once you're in there, again, here are the 3 metrics I talked about, left to right, sold by dealer in AGSA, sold by dealer outside of AGSA, sold by other in AGSA. This percentages is the percentage of those folks who did service work, in this case, the last 13 to 72 months. My suggestion is to change those criteria settings to new, 13 to 72, and then just kind of work from there. Get that 13 to 72 Chevrolet, boom. So right there we have, in this case, pretty good number. 1,088, 228 have serviced in the past 1 to 6 years. You click on that number 228 right there, service by dealer. And then you go over here. Let me move this up so I can see a little better. Right there, you download as a CSV file, open her up. That's what you're going to get right there. You save it, file, save as to your computer, or you can go right into your CRM, whatever the case is, change that file name, and then change it from CSV to Excel. And then you can sort and filter and sort from there. You can get folks, it looks something like that. You'll see, as you go to the right, you got hopefully phone and email. You can see the vehicle they're driving. It's really cool. And what you can do is filter maybe like we were doing with Playbook 2007 to 15 or something like that. Folks who might be in a likely range to buy, or even older than that. It's up to you. But again, it's another avenue to possibly reach out to customers. Going back to Mr. Tyson, if everybody has a plan and you punch them in the mouth, man, we gotta come out swinging to finish strong in this sort of thing. Hang on uno momento. I got a little something here. Boom. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate that. That's awesome. So just another request for the slide deck. Certainly gonna get that out. Absolutely. Final thing I want to do is just kind of, it's a term that I've come up with. It's the BDC rut. And man, I look down at the names, I come and I feel it. I'm cruising all over the place and hang out. We do lunch together. We have coffee. We work on stuff. And sometimes I get the feeling some of you come out, you're seeing double, man. You've been making calls all day, leaving 20 calls, you left 18 voice messages. You're sending out your emails and so on and so forth. So in that vein, just some things to think about and I'll certainly be exploring these as I move forward, different innovative ways to reach out to customers. Number one, kind of a simple thing, include your e-business card from DSA in customized emails. Okay. Second one is using videos and targeting Facebook ads. I mentioned that earlier on. So let's look at each one. Okay, so that's my little mock-up card right there. So that's what my e-business card looks like. That's my wife, by the way, right there, Miss Kim. Been together quite a while. If you're wondering what's she doing with a guy like me, I lied and told her there was money in my family, and so I kind of worked it from there. Another cool thing to do is on your card, all of your correspondence, make sure they know what your cell phone is there, text friendly. You put it in there, and then that is almost encouraging them to, keep communicating via text. A lot of customers, we're finding out, like to communicate via text. Bottom line, you can include this e-business card. Get on the DSA app, you log in with your GM Global Connect login. You can send it to yourself, get it on your desktop. You can copy and paste. Now, let me comment. Not everybody in here is involved in the Pearl Conquest. That's the Philly LMA. They bought about, I think, approximately 100,000 names, a list of 100,000 or so names of folks who are in expiring competitive leases, I think 0 to 10 months. We learned an awful lot from doing this. It's been frustrating. We've had a few hits here and there, but this has happened. So a lot of folks have been snipping this. They do the snipping tool and drop it in because on their portal it doesn't work. But for us, you can use it. The thing about snipping it is you lose this directional compatibility. They can see it, but with the normal DSA app, they can click on it and it'll show them how to get to it from where they are. So that's a pretty cool thing. So avoid the rut. Number one, jazz it up. Include your e-business card from DSA or wherever. What else you got? A cool thing. Use videos. I know we talked about. I can remember talking about this 10, 15 years ago, but it's something to think about. Mix it up a little bit. Don't get caught up and I have to just keep pounding them with calls. Splice it into your email. So if you haven't explored it, go into Global Connect Showroom. It's up as soon as you get in there, I think it's up on the top right side, and you click on it. It has every vehicle in the inventory every year. Right now, you got plenty of strength with 17s, obviously, for those of you who still have inventory to clear. There's strong stuff on 17s and obviously 18s. Each vehicle. That's an example right there. You can access it. It's so cool. You can copy the link, drop it into your email. I always suggest, put a nice picture maybe of the vehicle or a good solid heading to show what you're doing. But a person that you're working, let's go back to the list I mentioned earlier. It's kind of cool. You can go in there and say, you're trying to interest them in that 2018 standalone offer for the Silverado. Get that picture in there, get that video, talk about it a little bit, keep it brief and hard hitting and compelling. Adds a little diversity. Again, the DSA app, don't forget that. You can shoot videos right from the app. I was in a dealership recently. I was chatting with a customer out. It was late afternoon. They were out there having a conversation after, walking them around. They said they'll be back. And I was just happened to be coming by. And as the customer pulled out, I looked down and there was a sales consultant right on the cell phone. And I just went up and said, "Hey, man, how's it going?" And he said they're heading over to the mall. They're going to wait till the husband gets off work and come back. And I said, before she gets to the mall, I'm going to have a video of the Equinox or whatever I'm trying to sell her. I'm going to make sure she has that in her cell phone, in her iPhone. Pretty cool way to do it. Again, you can email those from the app to your desktop, and you can copy and paste from there. The last one, homemade personalized videos. Nothing radical. We've talked about it before. Perhaps it's a little bit of a phase type of thing, but I'm trying to revitalize this is what I'm saying. So these homemade personalized videos from your dealership, develop an authentic and personal video inviting people to visit your dealership and include a few reasons why your dealership is a great place to do business. I'll go back to the Pearl Conquest that we're working in the Philly LMA. They provided templates. You have the option, as you know, you can use their templates or you can intertwine with your own. They have a thing where you can just click it and build your own email. I feel like they're bland. They're decent, not a bad way to start, but a lot of us have been trying to innovate and get those videos. We're trying to conquest somebody who owns a Toyota or is in a lease for a Toyota or a Ford. And man, having a personalized video really helps out. For those of you who are on the Facebook page, I recently posted it with his permission, Mr. Clay Wessel at a diver, very dynamic guy. And I see a couple of his teammates in here. I don't know if Brother Clay's in here or not, but he did a really good job with his. I mean, and Clay is a very dynamic guy. And that's a nice thing to include in an email. You put in there, it's personalized, it humanizes it, and so on. So I'd really, again, strongly encourage you to build one of those. It doesn't have to be, like a movie production. It'd be quite simple. It could be a selfie type. It could be a coworker having you stand by a 2018 Equinox talking about it, something of that nature. But just show them that you're human, you're personal, and you're welcoming. That's important. And I'd love for you to share them if you can. It's up to you. That's something you may or may not want to do. But again, take a look on the Facebook page and see Clay's example. It's pretty cool. He's a very handsome, debonair individual, too, very distinguished man. And final thing on avoiding the BDC rut, again, those Facebook ads. I mentioned this earlier. I would really encourage. This costs some bucks, but it's pretty cool. We've had some level of success with this. Depending on who you're talking to, you get different feedback on this. But we're learning that a couple of strong lessons I got recently were the fact that we give up on third-party leads too quickly. I never was real pro or con, but internally I was feeling like maybe they weren't as effective. So sustaining the effort with those and also working these things. So with the look at the link, you'll see it. It's a good video, walks you through. You can contact the rep. You can get a good price before you start. But basically the concept is you will send them, let's say, for instance, I'm in your dealership, we get together and we agree that we're going to build, let's say 4 playbook campaigns based on the stuff I presented. So we're going to go into the employee pricing, all the models that were offered in November and continue to be offered into December. We layered down to priority C. So we have a list there, and that turned out to be 124 people. Then we did a list on the new additional models, which they had in December. We bring that up, and that's another 100 plus people. Then we did the Silverado. We got 100, 200, whatever. And then the Equinox, again, 100, whatever. You can actually package that. In this case, you'd want to tailor it to each of the models. And then they can, with Facebook, and you can impact the message that goes out. So it periodically pops up on there as I forget what it's called, as the trail, as the stuff appears on Facebook. If they can find a match to their email, phone number, the information that's provided in their profile. Beating it to death, but it's really well worth looking at, okay, targeting those Facebook ads. Okay, I'll wrap it up with a profound quote. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Miss Helen Keller. The team, the Zone 4114 team, we volunteered yesterday over at Phil Abundance. Really cool experience. And that quote was up on the wall. It really touched me. And I think that's the case here. We're all in this together. I'm here for you guys, as are the reps, the GM reps. We can help you out and kind of go from there. We really need to finish strong in December. I'm asking you, I'm encouraging you, I'm challenging you to squeeze the sponge and consider a lot of these innovative ideas. I'm available, as you know. You give me an email, give me a phone call. We can work it out. If I can't get to the dealership, we'll work over WebEx or whatever the case is. So what I like to do, I know usually we don't get a lot of questions at the end. We certainly got a few. Mr. Galen, you're welcome, my friend. Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year's, my brother. Anybody got questions? Like I say, you can hit *6 and unmute yourself as you go forward, or you can just go ahead in the chat function and ask any questions you've got. Rest assured, I'm going to send you this video. I'll get the slide deck out to everybody. It'll just be the plain slide deck to help you out with that. In the meantime, here we go. Just checking to see how everyone's doing with the Chevy Lease Conquest program. I would say we have mixed results on that. Samantha would be the best way to describe that. Anybody else, any thoughts on it? And let's take a minute and kind of, we do have a few folks who are out of that LMA, but hang in there just in case other questions come up. But the bottom line is, to be quite candid, it's been a tad frustrating, but here's my thought on it. We as a team, I think it was a combination of Chevrolet and the LMA, purchased that. We do have names of people who have to make a decision on a lease, so don't give up. Go back to those ideas that I put out there about using your e-business card, adding videos, that personalized video, and so on. That would be a really good thing to do, Samantha, as you go forward. Also, if you haven't downloaded the entire list, do so pronto. I think that's quite critical that you do that. When you log on to their portal, and this will be outside the norm for a lot of folks who are not in that Philly LMA. When you log in there, in the upper right-hand corner, there are two green buttons. One says download to your CRM, one says download to Excel. You do either or both, but make sure you've got those names. My attitude is we have to keep in touch, keep working it, keep promoting that great dealership vibe that you've got, whatever it is that you feel is important about your dealership, and this great product that we now have to promote. So that's the best I can say. Nobody else has chimed in, Samantha, but if you want to give me a call later, I can talk to you a little bit more and we can work through from there. The question was on the fail rate. You're welcome, Samantha. Question came up on the fail rate. What is that going to be? Caitlin, and everybody in the room, as far as I know, this is not official. I'm a vendor who's paid to help you be successful. But what we were told was it's likely going to be, as a start, 10%. So either you have to get equal to or below 10%, and they were going to filter your calls from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:59 p.m., and they'll eliminate any calls less than 15 seconds. So as we go forward, I know we have at least one or two of the GM reps in here. As we in our travels and as we get further clarification, we'll make sure we get that word out to you. It's a good idea right now to take a look at what your current fail rate is. See, my strategy is going to be to try to convince everybody as we build processes to look at it from a 24/7 standpoint. Man, if we can get your fail rate down to 7, 8, or 9%, with Saturday's busy day, man. There's a lot of stuff going on, and we include that, the evenings, Sunday, etc. If we can get processes in place to make sure that we're really effectively handling calls at that point, boy, a piece of cake once they narrow it down to Monday to Friday. So I hope that helped, Caitlin, answer your question. Anybody else? Any other questions? Anybody looking for life advice or anything? We've got some, it looks like it's going to be quarterly, Caitlin, quarterly on the EBE requirements. Anybody's looking for any life advice? We have some very deep people in here. Can certainly help you out with that. Not me. I'm not in a position to do that. You're welcome, Caitlin. I look forward to seeing you. I missed you last time. I was hoping to get over there with Bernadette, but got sidetracked on some other stuff. So tell Brother Rich I said, hey. Anybody else? Questions? Concerns? Jim Jenkins, I got you, brother. I'm going to get your contact information, get you back and torch you with my emails and all that good stuff. Okay, if nothing else, man, wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I'm here for you. Give me a call. You know the great GM reps are out there to help you. We all got you back. Man, let's kick some butt and finish strong down the stretch, man. All right. Happy holidays, Allison. Thank you so much. Yeah, enjoy. Have fun. Bye for now, everybody. As we say in Brooklyn, New York, you all come back now, you hear? And on that note, I'll wrap this thing up.